We all know Oklahoma has a great defense, but how will Brent Venables choose to try to stop the Tigers? Welcome on into the Auburn Express, powered by the War Report. I'm your host, Mike D. Turn us on, turn us up, we'll turn it out. I'm here with my good friend Josh Marler. I'm here with my good friend Josh Mahler of the voice of college football, Oklahoma. Josh, thank you for joining me today on today's show. We're going to talk a little bit about that vaunted Oklahoma defense and what the possible game plan is here versus Auburn. Let's start at the top, though. Before we started recording, you have some mixed feelings about this game. And as someone who covers the Sooners better than anybody I know, talk to me about the feeling around Norman headed into this football game. Is this a confident football team, you think, headed into week 4?
Yeah, I think it's a confident football team. I think it's a football team that you saw from the Michigan game. I mean, this was a team that was one mistake away from keeping every single team they faced out of the end zone, and they were one mistake away because that one mistake obviously was the 75-yard touchdown run by Justice Haynes, the only touchdown the Oklahoma Sooners have led up on defense. It is a defensive-led team, but they feel good about the offense. It's an offense that can move the ball, they can play complementary football, and if you had that last year, everyone knows that this could have been a much different Oklahoma team. So it's a confident team, and I think overall, the fan base. I feel like everybody in the fan base. I might be the outlier. Everybody's like, oh yeah, we're gonna win the national championship. I'm probably the outlier because, like I told you, it's like, man, when's the last time that Oklahoma has been the pretty girl sitting at the table that everyone wants to walk up to? And it's been a while. So and you think back to the 2023 season when that was the case after beating Texas on a huge 2-minute drill drive to get down there and beat Texas. You turn around the next week and you're high on that feeling of we can beat anybody, and then you lose to Kansas. So that's kind of what I'm feeling, is nervous that Oklahoma's not ready for that spotlight. But I think I'm probably wrong on that feeling. It's just a weird gut feeling I'm getting.
Yeah, look, I think that given the results last year, both teams are a little bit nervous about what the possible results. Do you trust it? Oklahoma has a really good win under their belt for now against Michigan. And if you're Auburn, you opened up your season with what looks like a solid win on the road versus Baylor. But somehow both sides are looking at this as the true test. I think the story of the game is going to be that Oklahoma defense and what they're able to do versus their former teammate in Jackson Arnold. Look, Oklahoma fans have been extremely gracious at times for Jackson Arnold, saying, look, we get it. He was put in a really tough position last year, but this is a player that Brent Venables knows, and he's going to make it hell on Jackson Arnold come Saturday.
Yeah, well, and I'm not the kind of guy that usually keeps receipts. Otherwise, I would have a full basket full of receipts from Oklahoma fans that were dogging Jackson Arnold and dogging me for supporting Jackson Arnold all throughout last season, even going into this season. And then those same fans seem like they're all like, "Oh no, we love Jackson. We hope he's all the best." It's not it's not the feeling I was getting earlier on, like in this off season and all that. But nonetheless, I think overall the overall feeling is that Oklahoma wants Jackson Arnold to do well. They're glad that he's looking better this year. But yeah, I mean they are ready to make that statement known that they feel pretty good about this breakup. They feel like, hey, we're happy that you're succeeding. We're succeeding pretty well over here too, and it's a defense that Jackson Arnold struggled with against in practice quite a bit last year, and so and rightfully so. It's a Brent Venables defense that likes to switch things up, likes to kind of trick the quarterback and thinking one thing is being shown when it's really something else. And so yeah, I think that's the biggest storyline to me. Is usually you talk about a defensive coordinator against offensive coordinator. I'm seeing defensive coordinator / head coach against the quarterback, who is that head coach's former quarterback. That's the matchup that I'm really excited to watch.
Yeah, I think it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. Look, Oklahoma pick up the number one player in the portal, and John Mateer. All eyes are going to be on him. This is considered by some to be a duel of quarterbacks, but I think it's going to be a duel of defenses. Auburn had a really good defense last year. As a matter of fact, They held the Oklahoma offense to 20 points in that game. Now, the Auburn's offense gave up a pick six that was essentially the difference in the game there at the end in the fourth quarter. But I don't see this any differently. I don't see this high scoring. I think that it's going to be a test of will and grit, and the team that is willing to lay it on the line the hardest is probably going to come out with the win in this one. But um, I believe it's the D lineman. No, you got a D line. Your best D lineman is out for this game here because of a targeting call last week. How big a hit is that really for this Oklahoma defense?
It's obvious. I'm not going to sit here and downplay it. Like we don't want our Mason Thomas out there. But yeah, I mean, he's one of the best edge rushers in the nation, and it was huge for him to come back to Oklahoma. So I'm not going to downplay it as if we don't need him. But Oklahoma is so deep, especially at that position, that I don't think it's going to play a huge part. Uh, Obviously, we're excited for the second half when he comes back out there because hopefully he's got a statement to make. And our Mason Thomas is one of the premier edge rushers in the SEC and in the nation at that. So it's definitely going to play a factor into it. And I think you're right too. This is going to be a defensive game. I think I was seeing anywhere from 42 to 48 points is kind of what Vegas is predicting based on the
Yeah.
book you look at. And yeah, I mean, I definitely feel like this is probably an under type of game for sure.
Yeah, I'm hammering the under on this one. I just feel like with where Auburn was at in scoring defense last year and where Oklahoma is at currently in scoring defense, uh, neither team is going to want to give up anything in the red zone. It could come down to those big plays outside the red zone that go for scores in this one.
Yeah.
Can Jackson Arnold complete some deep balls to Eric Singleton and Cam Coleman and those guys on the outside? And can John Mateer continue to just do what John Mateer does as the number one passer in the SEC for 3 weeks? Going to be fun to watch. Josh, I got to get you on record here. I need a score prediction. Tell me, what's the score of this one and why?
And like I told you beforehand, man, like this is one that I keep on bouncing around and I'm trying to zone in. Usually I've got like the football gods are blessing me, especially this year, and just telling me the scores straight up. And this week they're not giving it to me easy. And I don't know if it'll be an enlightening and an enlightenment that I get tomorrow before our show. I guess maybe today by the time this is out. But yeah, I'm looking at this game. I agree with you. I think it's going to be lower scoring. I when I look at Oklahoma's defense and understanding what they've done so far, and like I said, one mistake away from not allowing a single touchdown all season, only allowed one touchdown so far upon the three opponents. And so I look at this defense and I think I don't see really any team that I think confidently I could put money on it and say they could score more than 20 on Oklahoma. I do feel good about Oklahoma's chances. Like I said, I know I'm feeling a little skeptical, a little bit nervous about being the top dog. But I think Oklahoma ends up winning this one. I think they win this one. Man, I think they barely cover the spread. I'm going to say 24-18, 24-17, somewhere in that range.
Uh 24-17.
Just
I
about a
like
touchdown. Just about
yeah.
a touchdown.
Yeah, I like that score. I've got this one. I went back and forth on this one. I really wanted to call it for Oklahoma 21-17 earlier in the week. I talked to some players, got some intel here. I'm feeling more like 24-21 Auburn with something crazy happening at the end. Could come down to a missed kick or made kick to win it. It's going to be fun to watch. Before we get out of here, do me a favor. Give Auburn fans a name to watch, not John Mateer, not R. Mason Thomas, but give Auburn fans a name to watch that could be a factor in this game on the Oklahoma side that they probably never heard.
Yeah, well, on the defensive side of the ball, I mean, so you said not name R. Mason Thomas because he's not going to be in the first week. That means it opens up where PJ Adebawore is going to have his first career start, a former 5-star, rightfully so. He shows it on the field every time he comes out there. I am looking to him to prove that 5-star rating. I'm looking to him to come out there and prove that he has earned this spot to get out there. I think PJ, and I know I'm probably saying his last name wrong because I think I've heard Parker Thune mention it. He's like the pronunciation king. I usually go to him for my pronunciations, and I know he told me how to say it. But PJ Adebawore, he's going to come off that edge very hard. and he's going to be playing at a very high level. I truly have faith in that. If it's not him, I'll just throw a bonus one out there. Cortland Guillory is one of the best corners in the nation right now, and he's a true freshman. That's awesome to have. And so, if we're talking about secondaries, I think that's where it's going to come into play for both Oklahoma and Auburn. Yeah, that's a guy that I'm excited to have out there on the field for Oklahoma.
Yeah. Going to be fun to watch, my friend. I can't wait to talk to you after the game when someone emerges victorious and someone does not. Josh Mahler, before we get out of here, tell people where they can find you.
Yeah, you can find me on X at real Josh Mahler because I'm the real one. I'm the only one, the only one that I know of. But of course, you can find all my content. I do some content with OU Insider. Go check them out. If you're an Oklahoma fan, absolutely go check out OUinsider.com. Amazing stuff over there with Parker Thune, Brandon Drum. And then, of course, Oklahoma at the voice of college football. Been having a blast covering Oklahoma football over there as well.
And guys, we'll be back with more Auburn Express right after a quick word from our sponsors, our friends at the Rogue Shop. Visit rogueshop.com. Use code reporter to get 15% off your Rogue Shop order. Pain, sleep, stress, anxiety, whatever ails you in life, the Rogue Shop has something that has you covered. If you have some traditional ailments and you're looking for some non-traditional remedies, the Rogue Shop potentially is the place for you. Please, again, go visit them. I got Richard, longtime sponsor of the show, dropping a little something extra in there for everybody using a code report today. We appreciate them for sponsoring this segment. Also, want to thank our friends at Abel's Iron Moore and Associates. Let's be honest, money can be stressful. Am I saving enough? Am I investing wisely? Well, I have enough when I retire. Abel's Iron Moore and Associates helps take the guesswork out of investing. They provide disciplined, personalized investment management that gives you clarity and peace of mind so you can spend less time worrying and more time living. Call 912-777-4128 or visit aiminc.com to see how good it feels to have experience and guidance on your side. The War Report has been compensated by Abel's I Know More and Associates for this endorsement. AMA is a registered investment advisor. Registration as an investment advisor does not imply a certain level of skill or training. The information in this advertisement is for informational purposes only and should not be considered personalized investment advice. All investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal, and past performance is not indicative of future results. I want to thank our friends at setsforsociety.ai. The road to knowing self better starts at Sets for Society. They have custom personality assessments to let you know more about how you think, how those around you think, and how you guys can best think together to achieve like goals. Sets for Society is a great tool and resource for understanding more about yourself, because when you understand more about yourself, you can be a better partner, a better coworker, a better teammate, better husband, a better wife. Setsforsociety.ai. Visit them to get your custom personality assessment started today. We appreciate them, as always, for sponsoring this segment. Last but certainly not least, I want to thank our friends at Golden's Cast Iron. Visit goldenscastiron.com/WR. Use code Get Your Weight Up for 15% off your weights and code TWR for $65 off fire pits and Kamado grills. Summer may be over, but fall is here, and that brings great weather. So you want to be outside with your family, standing around the grill, cooking up some good eats, or maybe just staying in shape with some Golden's Cast Iron weights. Work out, grill out, chill out with Golden's Cast Iron. Joining me in the second half is senior writer for the warreport.com, Logan Fowler. Talk a little bit about that Oklahoma defense. We've been breaking down Oklahoma all week, Logan. You posted an article on the warreport.com. Please head there to check out all of Logan's written work about this being the biggest test that this Auburn offense is going to face going up against Brent Venables' defense. Look, they're good. They're really good. And they're not infallible, though. They can be gotten. But talk to me about this Oklahoma defense and what makes them such a formidable unit.
Right. Yeah, I think the first thing that jumps off the page to me is when you look at the numbers, they've only given up 19 points all year long. 13 of those came against Michigan, right? So they're averaging 6.3 points per game that they're giving up. That's fourth in the nation, right? The scariest thing for me when I look at this matchup of Auburn's offense, Oklahoma's defense is, again, listen, I know who they've played. Temple, they played a Bryce Underwood, who I think can be really good, but he was still a freshman in Norman, right? Making his first road start. But the thing that kind of scares me about this Auburn offense Oklahoma matchup is the fact that they're second in the nation in pass defense.
Mm,
84.7 yards per game allowed through these first 3 games, right?
that's
And
rough.
what's the biggest question mark of Auburn's offense so far? It's the passing offense. Now, again, has Auburn had to air it out? I noted this in the article. Auburn simply just has not had to put the ball in the air, right? Auburn has every game that they've played been able to just run it down the opposing team's throat, and that's one of the things that has impressed me the most with this offense and Hugh Freeze in year 3 is the fact that Auburn's taken what's been given to them. Right? They're not forcing anything down the field. They're not forcing anything over the middle, and as a result, Jackson Arnold has 0 turnovers. Um, Amazing, right? Because if you look at this point of the season last year, heading into the Oklahoma game, turnovers were just derailing Auburn's season, and turnovers plagued Auburn in the Oklahoma loss, obviously. So another good number to throw at you right here is Oklahoma hasn't forced a single turnover,
Not a single one.
not a
Yeah.
single one. So look, it's going to be Auburn's biggest test to this point in the season, right? Because if you're going strictly off of numbers, Oklahoma's got one of the better defenses in the country. Hugh Freeze said as much, and he said it all week. He said to the Dari Noka show on KREF for like an Oklahoma radio station. He said, "Look, when I watch the film, I need some Pepto and some Tums because it makes me sick." He said, "This is one of the best defenses I've seen in the last few years here at Auburn, and that's what I'm saying. The numbers tell the story, but I do think that Auburn can, like you said, I think that Auburn can make some noise against them. I think that Jackson Arnold is well suited to play against this team. The same can be said. Everybody's talking about, hey, Brent Venables knows Jackson Arnold like the back of his hand. He knows his tendencies. Same can be said for Jackson Arnold with Brent Venables and that defensive staff. He knows what they like. He knows what they want to do. Right. Jackson Arnold's got the weapons on the outside. Damari Austin will be back this week. Auburn's offensive line has looked great in the run game, and I think that can continue against this Oklahoma defense. I wouldn't expect, 450 yards to be put up necessarily, but I do think that Brent Venables in this Oklahoma defense will have some fits with this Auburn offense.
Look, at the end of the day, if they can't force turnovers defensively, I think they are going to have a hard time with Auburn. I called this one 24-21 Auburn. I was leaning 21-17 Oklahoma earlier in the week. I go back and forth over this, but I'm going to stick with Auburn in this one. I just feel like the improvements that they made offensively, it could come down to, can Cam Coleman win his matchups? Can Eric Singleton win his matchups? If Jackson Arnold gets a chance to throw one in the end zone from 40 yards out, can they go up and come down with the football? Because points are going to come at a premium in this football game. Look, Oklahoma has the number 1 defense in the SEC. It's not even close. Auburn is a really, really good scoring defense. They just don't let you score. And so I expect that will continue. How much better are both of these teams offensively? Well, I think Auburn has gotten significantly better offensively, and Hugh Freeze feels like he can run more of his offense with Jackson Arnold at quarterback and a more mature Cam Coleman and company, and also Jeremiah Cobb and Damari Alston there. Damari's going to be ready to go in this one. Before we get out of here, I do want to talk about this Oklahoma run defense. Now, Auburn has the second best run defense in the league, allowing only 67 yards per game. Oklahoma pretty good at 96 yards per game. But if you're Auburn, you've got to find a way to run on this Oklahoma defense. Well, how do you see them playing this? Everyone has defended Auburn, like terrified of Auburn's wide receivers, and it's opened up the run game to some extent because they respect the talent here. Does Oklahoma leave their DBs on an island and just tee off going after Jackson Arnold, or how do you see Brent Venables playing this?
Yeah, look, I think the first thing he's going to do is make life super uncomfortable for Jackson Arnold in the early goings. So it is paramount that Auburn gets this running game going pretty early, right? Oklahoma's got like the 5th highest blitz rate in the nation according to PFF. So they're gonna bring pressure. But with this run game, like you said, look, they've given up 96.3 yards per game on the ground. Now, that did come off of those numbers are skewed a little bit from a chunk play against Michigan. But it happened and the numbers are what they are, right? So look,
Yeah.
um, again, I think that, like you mentioned, look, Ball State played their corners off 15 yards off of Cam Coleman, and you dink and dunk all night long. Baylor runs a 2 high safety look, and you run the ball down their throat. To this point in the season, look, I think Brent Venables knows that Jackson Arnold can beat him, right? But I do think he is going to make him prove it. So I do think the number one thing that he's going to go after, or make a mission in this game, is to stop that run game. I think you could see some loaded boxes,
Yeah.
and I do think that you'll see heavy blitz to make sure that Jeremiah Cobb doesn't leave with the same stats that he's left the last 2 weeks with, right? So I think that for Auburn, you got to get Jackson Arnold involved in the run game. You got to get Damari Austin and Jeremiah Cobb their touches. But the key factor in this one, man, is look, what is the one play that has been absolutely, you can't defend it this year? And that's the Eric Singleton sweep in motion, right? They have so many different options off
Yeah.
of. Am I going to hit him in the flats? Am I going to hand it off to him? Am I going to hit on a wheel? Is Jackson Arnold going to keep it? There's just so many different things that with Jackson Arnold's legs, it gives Hugh Freeze so many different options back there. So look, I think Auburn's got to get the run game going, but in this game, Auburn will be tested and will have to throw it down the field. Haven't seen it yet. Can they do it? I don't doubt that they can. When you're throwing the ball up to Cam Coleman, Eric Singleton, Malcolm Simmons, Horatio Fields, I like that matchup 10 out of 10 times. So if Oklahoma does shut down that run game, I think that Auburn can answer through the air.
Yeah. Look, both these quarterbacks pretty good using their legs. When they are forced out of the pocket, can they make plays? Can they get the ball to the wide receivers? We post the PFF grades on the warreport.com after every game. One of the stats that I'll be looking at after this one is time to throw when kept clean. Is Jackson Arnold getting that ball out of his hand in under 2.5 seconds, Logan? Important. But if John Mateer is doing the same, it's going to be, I don't know, man. Like, I think it's going to be a duel of who can make the big play. Who can make enough big plays in this football game to win? And I can't stress enough, if you're Auburn, you got to be a little bit worried if Alex McPherson isn't able to go in this one. I could come down to a field goal here, and you've got to be able to trust your kicker. In the warm-up against South Alabama, Towns looked good. He looked good. But something up here, man, between the ears when it's game time. Hopefully he gets over that. Look, great stuff, Logan. Appreciate you joining the show today. Guys, go check out his work at thewarreport.com. Logan Fowler, senior writer for The War Report. We appreciate all that you do. Look, to let us know what you think. Can Auburn move the ball on this Oklahoma defense? We want to hear from you. And while you're in the comment section, do us a favor and smash that super thanks button. Your financial support helps keep the work that we're doing here going. We are the War Report, so please hit like and subscribe. And on every single platform, TW Report on TikTok. Signing off, and as always, Warriors.